area and circumference. Just in case you weren't paying attention when we did the warm-up and you didn't write it down, or you just want to write it down again so you don't forget it, your area formula is pi times the radius squared. And your circumference formula is 2 times pi times r, or pi times diameter. The first couple problems should be pretty basic. We're going to have an exact answer, which means our answer is going to be in terms of pi, which means you get to leave pi in your answer. And then I'm also going to have you round to the nearest tenth. Okay, so we're going to have two answers. In terms of pi, means pi is in your answer, and rounded to the nearest tenth. So let's start by drawing a circle. Yes, you have to draw it. Doesn't have to be big. All right, what was I given in this picture? Diameter, okay? I want to find the circumference and the area. So let's start with circumference. If I'm given the diameter and I want to know what the circumference is, which one of these two equations would probably be the quickest and easiest to use? Pi times diameter, right? So my diameter is 12 times pi. That's our exact answer. What are our units going to be for circumference, do you think? Centimeters. It's like perimeter. So 12 pi centimeters. Okay, so that's our exact answer in terms of pi. We're also going to find that answer rounded to the nearest tenth. So in your calculator, 12 times pi. So rounded to the nearest tenth, 37.7 centimeters. So maybe make a note to yourself that this is the exact answer, or it's in terms of pi. And this one's the rounded answer. Okay, exact answer or in terms of pi. That's what the directions are going to say on tests, quizzes, homework, and such. Okay, let's find the area. Well, in order to find area, what do I need? Okay, I'm going to use pi r squared, so I need to know what? The radius. So if the diameter is 12, the radius is 6. So pi times 6 squared gives me what? 36 pi as my exact answer. And what should those units be? Centimeters squared, because we're talking about area. And then in your calculator, 36 times pi to the nearest tenth. 113.1 centimeters squared. There's not a whole lot of work here, which means you have to make sure you're using your calculator appropriately. Because if you plug something wrong into your calculator, you're automatically going to get something wrong. Are you okay with that? Okay. Now, I may give you circles sometimes. Sometimes I may write the question out in words. So something like, what is the area and circumference if the radius is 4 centimeters? So I would like you to find the circumference and the area. So I want an exact answer in terms of pi, and I want an answer rounded to the nearest tenth. Find the area and circumference. C equals 2 times pi times r. And what's r? What's my radius? 4. So C equals 2 times pi times 4. So first step is to simplify because you're going to leave your answer in terms of pi. 2 times 4 is 8, and I leave pi in my answer. So 8 centimeters. Second step is to plug it into your calculator, and you literally are going to do exactly what's on your paper. So 8 pi. Nope. That's better. But now you can't see the answer. Rounded to the nearest tenth is 25.1 centimeters. So this is my circumference. Area is pi times the radius squared. What's the radius? 4. So you're going to plug in 4. Simplify. 4 squared? 16. So it's 16 pi, and what are my units going to be? Centimeters squared. Okay, so that's my exact answer in terms of pi. Now plug that into your calculator. 16 times pi, rounded to the nearest tenth, is 50.3 centimeters squared. These first two are the easier of the two because you're just plugging it in. Things are going to get a little more complicated here. Do we need to see another one? No? Okay. Here we go. What is the area if the circumference is 14 pi feet? What is the area if the circumference is 14 pi feet? We're going to do this together. What is the area if the circumference is 14 pi feet? What am I being asked to find? The area. Okay, everyone agree that I need to find the area. Okay, area is pi times radius squared. Correct? In order to find the area, what piece of information do I have to have? The radius. Does it tell me what the radius is in this problem? No. So I'm going to have to find it. Okay, so I don't know what the radius is, but that's what I'm looking for so that I can plug it back in and find area. What do I know? I know circumference is 14 pi. Okay, circumference formula is 2 times pi times r. And if I know the circumference is 14 pi, where could I plug that in to this formula? The circumference is 14 pi. So where should I plug 14 pi in? For C, for circumference. Because when I do that, I get 14 pi equals 2 times pi times r. How many variables do you see? 1. Pi is not a variable, it's a number, right? So I see one variable, I have an r. Can I solve for r? Can I get r by itself? Yeah? What would you do to get r by itself? Divide by 2 pi. Currently you're multiplying, right? 2 times pi times r. Opposite of multiplication is division. So we're going to divide both sides by 2 pi. So on the right, the 2 pi cancels out, leaving me with r. On the left, the pi's cancel out, And what's 14 divided by 2? 7. Now that I know the radius, can I find the area? So area equals pi times the radius, which is 7 squared. And what's 7 squared? 49 pi. What are our units going to be? Feet squared, because it's feet up here. And in your calculator, take 49 times pi, and we're going to round it to the nearest tenth. Someone want to confirm that? Yep. So area equals 153.9 feet squared. Yes.
Test if we don't have like feet squared, are you gonna mark us off for it?
Yes, you'll lose like a half a point for not having your units. We're gonna do a couple of these. So this one's working backwards. We're gonna figure out what it is we're asked for, what it is we need, and then deal with what we have. Okay? Can we try another one?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. What is the circumference if the area is 36 pi feet squared? What is the circumference if the area is 36 pi feet squared? Step 1. What are we looking for? Circumference. So I need to know what 2 pi r is, right? That's what I'm looking for. In order to find the circumference, what piece of information do I have to have? What do I have to plug in? The radius. Do I know the radius? No. What do I know? I know the area is 36 pi. So where should I plug in 36 pi to help me find the radius? In for A. 36 pi equals pi r squared. I only see one variable, right? So that's good. The problem is we can't solve an equation with 2 variables, because then you have to do systems of equations. Do you remember that from IM1, where you have to do substitution or elimination? Yeah, you don't like that, right? So we want to only get down to 1 variable. What do I do to get this r by itself? What's the first thing I should do? Divide by pi. Let's get rid of that pi. When I divide by pi, it cancels on the right and it cancels on the left, leaving me with 36 equals r squared. How do I get rid of the square? Square root. And what's the square root of 36? 6. Do I have the information that I need to find circumference? Yes. So circumference equals 2 times pi times 6. Or what? What's my exact answer? 12 times pi, or 12 pi. And what units should I have? Feet. In your calculator, tell me what 12 pi is to the nearest tenth. 37.7 feet. So the next one I'm going to give you, I want to see how far you can get. Okay? This is the last one. If you want to write on your warm-up page because you don't want to use a full other page, then you can do that. Okay, last problem. What is the area if the circumference is 15.7 feet? Don't add pi to this. Just go with the number that you see. Okay, so talk through it. If you need to talk through it with your group, do so. But what are you looking for? What do you need to find? Area. But what do you have? Which is what? Circumference. Okay, so work through it with your group. See how far you can get. So you know that you're finding area, which is pi r squared, but you've been given circumference. And as I walked around, I saw 15.7 equals 2 pi r. Right? Everyone's okay there? Okay. Then I saw that you divided by 2 pi because you wanted r by itself. Correct? Okay. Now there's some of you that got this right, so just ignore this next step for those of you that got it correct because this is wrong. So in your calculators, you did 15.7 divided by 2 pi, just like that. Agreed? And you got 24.7. Okay, I want you to stop and think real quick. You're saying that the radius of this circle is 24.7, but my entire circumference is 15.7? Does that logically make sense? That half of the distance of the circle is almost double the entire distance around the circle? Does that make sense? Yeah?
No.
I hope not. So here's the problem. So everybody that has this calculator, when you divide, pay attention because if you don't, you're going to get this part wrong. In your calculator, you're going to do 15.7. And then when you divide, you need to put 2 pi in parentheses. Because what the other thing was doing was 15.7 divided by 2 times pi, because that's what order of operations says. This one is dividing everything by 15.7, and you should have gotten 2.5. Okay, 2.5 should be your radius. Okay, hold on. Shh. Go ahead. Hold on.
Like I did the 15.7 divided by 2 pi, and it didn't make sense. So I went back and I multiplied 2 by pi and then divided 15.7 by that.
And you got 2.5?
Yeah.
That works too. So I'm glad you noticed it didn't make sense. So you can do 2 times pi and then divide it. Another way, if you forget the parentheses, is 15.7 divided by 2 equals divided by pi equals. Okay, so you can do them separately. So you either need to put parentheses around it or do it separately or multiply it and then divide. All right, now that I know the radius, I can go back and find my area. Pi times 2.5 squared. What's 2.5 squared? 6.25. We'll leave it like that. So 6.25 pi feet squared is your exact answer. And what's 6.25 times pi? 19.6 feet squared is your rounded answer. Tyler?
What I did was I divided it by 2 first. I did